जी अस्सलाम वालेकुम वरहमतुल्लाह। हमारी बहुत ही ज़बरदस्त गुफ्तगू जो है वो जारी है NLP एंड माइंड साइंसेस इन दोनों के हवाले से, और आलिया मोहिद्दीन साहब हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं। मैम अभी हमने बात की लाइफ कोचिंग के हवाले से, तो वहीं पर हमारी कपल्स के हवाले से जो कोचिंग है वो वाला जो हमारा पार्ट था वो रह गया। काइंडली उसके ऊपर थोड़ी सी रोशनी डालिएगा। हमारे यहाँ जो रिलेशनशिप्स के मसाइल हैं बहुत सारे, वो अजीब किस्म की ट्रांजिशन फेस चल रही है, तो उसके बारे में प्लीज़ थोड़ा सा बताइएगा।
Very good question. So one of the roles I wear a number of hats.
Right.
So trainer, NLP trainer, corporate work, and I also do relationship coaching. आपने बिल्कुल सही कहा है that we are in a transition phase, right? As a country, we are transitioning from an old way of doing things to a new way of doing things.
Yes, yes.
Right? And so within and there is a direct impact it's having on relationships. Because NLP looks at what are the values, what are the beliefs, what is the structures that create a system. And a marriage, for example, is a system. There was a study done years ago now, and these researchers looked at children that were born, and they researched them, they tracked them all the way to the age of 18. And there were three main groups of children that sort of formed through the study. There was one group of children who were brought up by functional homes. You know, parents had a good relationship. Of course, all parents will fight partners will fight at some point, but it's a good, functional, safe home environment. That was one. There's another one where parents were together for the sake of the children. They were together, but they were there only for the sake of the children.
Right.
So they didn't get along. So there was a lot of conflict in the home. And the third one was where children came from broken homes. Okay. They studied these three groups all the way to 18 when they're technically adults. Okay. And the studies were astounding. As expected, the children that came from functional, happy homes, yes, they were functional, happy largely. There's always a percentage that falls off the cart, so to speak, but generally they were grounded, happy, functional. They were surprised to find that children brought up in homes that were broken, functionally broken, where parents had decided to go their own way, but had agreements on co-parenting. The difference between those children and the first group of children was very little. Okay. Where both parents, while they had separated, had still stepped up to take care of the children, even though there was a bit of a road bump while it was happening. Okay. But the fact that both parents had stepped up to take care and had a working relationship with each other, there was very little difference. Okay. They found the children that were the most damaged, had the highest rate of addictions, unsocial behavior, incapability of being able to form relationships, trust, etc., were children who had been brought up in these toxic homes, yes, where parents had stayed together for the sake of the children. Their capacity and capability to form their own relationships was highly compromised. The addiction levels were much higher. Yeah. So when parents stay together for the sake of the children, you're not doing your children any favors. Okay. Right? Okay. So when we have clients come to our into my rooms, the first question I ask them is this relationship worth saving? And I want to hear it's a yes, because then I know that they're both going to be committed, right? And if any of them say that, it's for the children, then it's like, well, there's no point then. You're not doing them any favors, right? Right. And here's the other thing. In relationships, it's, people say, okay, 50-50, dono parties ko 50-50 aana hai, in the middle. The truth is, it's 100-100. Yes. Each person has to show up 100%. 100%. मैं अपनी relationship में, I am 100% responsible for the quality of this relationship, of how I'm showing up, what I'm doing, how I'm responding. Yes. 100%. And for the partner, it's the same. 100% responsibility for how they're showing up. तभी result 100% आएगा. Exactly. So, in terms of when we talk about relationships, is this relationship worth saving is the number one question to ask. Sometimes they're not.
Okay.
And that's okay. But if it's worth saving, then we're looking at, okay, well, what are you doing now that's causing this problem? Because here's the thing, we also say in NLP this concept that there's no such thing as a relationship. A relationship is the definition of how two people are behaving with each other.
Okay.
And when if there was a time when they were behaving well towards each other and they had a good relationship, then it was the behavior that created this space. So how can they change behaviors? What sort of behaviors that they can start doing that will enhance their relationship?
Through coaching.
Through coaching. Right. So that's what we do. We help them create better strategies, better habits, better ways of behaving with each other.
Okay. हमारे यहाँ सबको शॉर्टकट की तलाश है. हर चीज़, हर मंजिल जल्दी हासिल करनी है. डेस्परेशन बहुत है. फिर जब वो डेस्परेशन या वो शॉर्टकट अचीव नहीं हो पाता उस तरह, उसके रिज़ल्ट जो है वो अच्छे नहीं आते, तो उसके बाद फिर डिप्रेशन शुरू होता है. फ्रॉम डेस्परेशन टुवर्ड्स द डिप्रेशन, what's your answer for that?
So first I will start off with आपने जो पहले हिस्से की बात की थी, which is that everyone's trying to take a shortcut. There is no shortcut to success.
Yes, of course.
There is only one shortcut, and that is find your models of excellence. Right? At an unconscious NLP, बहुत लोग ये भी कहते हैं, the co-creators of NLP have also originally NLP used to be defined as a modeling technique. Modeling excellence.
Okay.
We are all unconsciously modeling people. Okay. As children, we model our parents. We either directly model them or we reverse mirror model them, which means we will do the opposite. Okay. But because the subconscious mind doesn't recognize a negative, we end up in the same place. बहुत लोग कहते हैं, I don't want to be like my father, I don't want to be like my mother. Oh, hi, वही हो गया, क्या हुआ? Right? There's so many times people say, I don't want to be like my mother and never want to turn out like my mother, and bang, you're like your mother.
They ended up like a carbon copy of them.
Yes, it happens. So first of all, it's be aware of the people that you're modeling. And you find your models of excellence and you notice what they're doing, what are their values, how are they behaving, how they're showing up. बहुत से दूसरे भी points हैं इसमें. And when you follow them, when you model them, you can achieve success in your life too.
Right.
But success is a journey, and the purpose of that journey, even our goals, is the journey is the purpose, not the outcome.
Okay.
It is who we become. बहुत लोग जैसे आपने अभी कहा है कि we want something, we want it now, and we want it fully now.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Right.
It's not possible. We have to give ourselves the time to grow into that person.
Patience is important.
Resilience, grit is important. That's what grit is. Yeah. And it's the person you become along the way is the point. Now, जैसे आपने कहा था desperation to depression. Depression is a product of the quality of our thoughts and actions. And there's a saying we have, motion creates emotion.
Yes.
Right? So the actions that you're doing is creating this emotional state.
Yes.
If you change your actions, and you change your actions by the impacting and influencing your neurology and your language, thus impacting your behavior, you will have a different emotional state.
Okay.
But and so what happens is that people, they want something. I want to be a successful coach like this. They see a model, right? They will see a successful coach or successful somebody, and they're like, oh, I want that now.
Yes.
They haven't factored in कि उस इंसान ने 10,000 steps लिए हैं, 20,000, a million steps लिए हैं to where they are.
Yes, of course.
And if you want to get from step number 1 or step number 10 to step number 100,000,
yes,
you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're disrespecting the journey this person has been on as well.
Of course.
And so, yes, have your models, and then you take your steps, staying connected to your goal.
Yes.
And that's where the success principles come in again. Okay, कोई करता है कि okay ये मेरा goal है that I want to be a coach and I want to have this many clients and I want to be earning this much, for example. And they will do something. They say, okay, my model is doing this or did this, I'm going to do that. Or this model has been in the business for over 10 years or 20 years or jo kuch bhi hai, right? And they are just starting out.
Okay.
Or unko ye chahiye. Most people give up because the actions they're taking haven't gotten them to where they want to get to like this. They haven't given themselves a time. Or, so then they give up. Or they're doing certain things, nahi hua, to give up. That is what we call the failure strategy. Success strategy is you keep your eye on the goal. It's like climbing a mountain. Right? Ab ye rasta lein. If it doesn't work, ye rasta lein. If it doesn't work, ye rasta lein. There are many paths up a mountain. Most people get focused on just the path, on what they're doing. If that doesn't work, they give up. And then they go into depression and they go into all this self-talk that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. Do something else and respect the journey because the journey is the point.
Yeah, right. अच्छा, हमारे जो सोसाइटी के अंदर एक बहुत बड़ा मसला और भी है कि एंगर जो है वो मैनेज नहीं किया जाता. लोगों को पता ही नहीं है कि अगर किसी को गुस्सा आ रहा है तो वो उसको मैनेज कैसे करे. तो क्या कोई की है, क्या कोई, अब मैं दोबारा से फिर वहीं पर आऊँगा कि शॉर्टकट है एंगर मैनेजमेंट का NLP के अंदर?
तो पहले मैं ये कहूँगी कि to understand what is the basis of anger. The basis of anger is a need for certainty, the need for security. When people feel out of control, when people feel they're not being respected, when people feel they can't cope, they will go into anger. It is a unresourceful fear response.
Yes.
Right? Now, I'll come back to जो मैंने आपसे पहले शुरू में कहा था, circle of concern, circle of influence.
बिल्कुल.
Right? अब एक चीज़ हो रही है, जो कुछ भी हो रहा है, right? Now if we come from our circle of influence, okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling disrespected, I'm feeling whatever, right? जब हम उस बारे में सोच रहे हैं, we'll go boom into anger. पर अगर हम step back करें and thinking, okay, what's happening for me right now? And what can I do to help myself right now? Then we can manage our emotions much better.
Take a break.
It can be take a break, it can be whatever. Now here's the thing, our emotions are like the lights on a dashboard of our car.
Okay.
Right? The fuel light comes on, the yellow one. It's just telling you that the tank is nearly empty and you need to go and refuel. Right? The red gas light comes on, the temp comes on, it's like, okay, the engine is overheating. तो आपको उसको देखना है. या ये आजकल तो cars are so sophisticated, they'll tell you when they need a new oil change or a new servicing or tires, so much, right? Our emotions are exactly the same thing. Our emotions are the ways our body and our subconscious mind communicate with us. And it's telling us to lean in. What is this about? This is about me feeling X.
Okay.
I'm feeling this anger because this. It's just a fuel light. It's just one of those lights on our dashboard.
Okay.
Right? And when we focus on that and how we can help ourselves, then we can harness our emotions rather than our emotions controlling us. We have another technique in NLP. We call it above the line and below the line thinking. Okay. Above the line thinking is when we're at cause. It's goal oriented. It's outcome oriented. It's solutions, and it's very much about taking responsibility for where you are and taking ownership for how you are. And when we take ownership for how we are, we take the power inside of us. When you're below the line, it's very much problem oriented and excuses and reasons. And excuses and reasons are the same thing, right? And when you're above the line, you're much more responding. When you're below the line, you're reacting, right? When you're below the line and you outsource responsibility to somebody else, ownership to somebody else, उसकी वजह से मैं ये feel कर रहा हूँ या कर रही हूँ, उसकी वजह से मैंने ये किया है.
Very important point.
Right? Yeah. It's because of this, or it's because of that, or it's because of them, or it's because of the environment, it's because of whatever. I am doing this, I'm feeling this. We're below the line.
Right.
What happens then is that we are giving our power to somebody else. to something else, and we are disempowering ourselves. And so then we have no choice.
Right.
When we go above the line and we take ownership and responsibility, okay, I'm feeling this, what's it about? What is this anger about? I'm feeling disrespected, I'm feeling unsafe, I'm feeling I'm not being valued. Jo kuch bhi hai.
ठीक है.
Okay, and is that rational? Yes, it is. Or no, it's not. Okay, then maybe I need to look at this in a different way. Or yes, it is. Okay, what can I do? Right? Then we harness our emotions. When we take ownership and responsibility and the power comes inside of us, it leads to choice. And choice is a foundation of freedom.
Okay.
So most people are running away from responsibility because they think that is freedom. Freedom comes, true freedom of the mind and soul comes when we take responsibility and ownership for ourselves.
All right. Last question of the session. Being social is a good thing, but being too social, how it can harm the psychology और इमोशनल जो क्वेश्चन होता है हमारा वो, और इसके अलावा जो हमारा सोशल मीडिया का आजकल जो यूजेज बढ़ता जा रहा है, ख़ासकर हमारे टीनेजर्स का, तो उस वक्त उस एज में जो टीनेज होती है, उस एज के अंदर जो पैटर्न्स होते हैं माइंड के, उनको बहुत ज़्यादा सोशल मीडिया का जो इस्तेमाल है उससे कितना नुकसान पहुंच सकता है?
पहले तो मैं ये कहूँगी, द फर्स्ट हाफ जो आपने कहा था अबाउट बीइंग सोशल एंड टू सोशल इज नॉट गुड फॉर यू. I think these boundaries and parameters are different for different people. Some people are naturally introverted, some people are naturally extroverted. So some people, where it's too social, right? The boundary is different for different people.
All right.
I think, and some people are energized by being around other people. Some people are energized by being by themselves.
Okay.
So that's an important thing to look at. And then we're looking at if you're just trying to, are you trying to escape yourself to be with other people? That could be a problem, right? Could be, might not be, could be, right? So there's no hard and fast rule, and we have to see, is this serving the person or is it not? Is it in the overall system of this person's life, is their relationships, their success, their outcomes, whatever it is this serving them or is it not? That's what we look at. Now, in terms of social media, मैं थोड़ी technical इसमें शायद हो जाऊँ a bit. There is, I mean, there's this whole thing of the peer pressure and social, the norms that people need, the pressure to sort of show up in a certain way, which is of course not healthy. एक और बात भी है, and that is that we think in different ways, right? We have visual thinking. जब आप सोचते हैं और आपके दिमाग में एक picture है, that's visual thinking, right? We feel things, right? मेरा दिल दुख रहा है. That's a feeling state, right? Then we have auditory. That sounds like a good idea. We even have language around these things. In NLP, we have we have what we call the visual. We have the auditory, the hearing, and then we have what we call the kinesthetic, which is like tactile, but it's our feelings and our actions. These are the key ones. Then there's olfactory, gustatory, which is sight and the taste and smell, but we park that.
Right.
We have a sixth one, which is a secondary one, which we call auditory digital.
Okay.
Our auditory digital is the computer in our mind, our thinking, our processing, our overthinking, our making sense, our data thing, all of that. Now, when we are on social media, on computers, it's auditory digital. Very auditory. There's a visual, but it's very auditory digital, right? This computer thing. How we move our bodies is also influenced by which of these states we're in. So when we're looking up, we're in our visual plane. When we're looking sideways, and कभी कभार आप लोगों को देखते हैं वो ऐसे आप बोल रहे होंगे और वो आपको ऐसे देखते हैं. Then they're auditory, right?
Okay.
Our kinesthetic, our feeling states, and our auditory digital, our thinking is down here.
Okay.
तो काफी दफा जब लोग बहुत इमोशन में होते हैं, they're down here, right? They're looking down here.
Yeah.
Or when we're on our phones, more often than not, or even a computer, when we're on our phones, हम इधर होते हैं.
Yeah.
Down here.
Yeah.
When you look at depression and all of these negative states, the body does something. Mind, body is one system. The body does something. When we're sad, we will go into ourselves. When we're happy, we're generally like this. So when we're on our phones, social media, whatever, and we're down here on our computers, we are physiologically taking our body into a depressive state.
Yes, that's really important.
जब when I was young, बहुत अरसा पहले
जी,
तो उस वक्त तो कोई कंप्यूटर वगैरह नहीं होता था और हम बहुत बाहर खेलते थे, right? We used to go out, we used to ride our bicycles, we used to run outside. बहुत safe था पाकिस्तान in those days. And there was, you know, as children, we used to be lying on the grass, looking up at the sky, we're in visual, right? The levels of depression, anxiety and all of these aspects has increased in the modern generations because they're not in their visual plane.
Yes.
They are down here more and more, which then makes that emotion even stronger. It's not a coincidence, by the way, with all this social media and all of us on our phones, we're here. It's not a coincidence that globally there's such higher levels of depression, anxiety and all. Because we're in our kinesthetic AD state all the time.
All right. Ma'am, सेशन हमने एंड कर ही दिया है, तो थोड़ा सा आखिर में ये बता दें कि यूजेज ऑफ NLP जो है एक आम आदमी उसके लिए यूजेज ऑफ NLP जो है वो क्या है?
बहुत अच्छा क्वेश्चन है, I'm really glad you asked me. So NLP is what we call a content-free modality.
Okay.
NLP is what we use to help us be even better at what we do, right? So आम आदमी के लिए आप टीचर हैं, आप NLP के techniques and principles इस्तेमाल करें and you'll be a better teacher, how you are handling your children.
Okay.
You're a therapist, you use your NLP techniques and all, and you can become even better what are the outcomes. You work in corporate sector, you work in health, you work in any area, you can use NLP techniques to enable yourself better because it gives you the capability of a much greater understanding of yourself, understanding of others, in improving your communication skills, understanding the emotional, or taking hold of your own emotions and consciously creating the life you want, the relationships you want, than just being like a runaway train, helpless, right? So it's not even that, and of course it's the science behind coaching, but it's not even a sense that it has to be professional. My life transformed through the use of NLP, learning NLP, and then living with it. It's part of my DNA now, right? And through that, it's transformed my relationships, how I'm showing up. Which it also means, so you're more functional, you're more productive, you're more resourceful, you're stepping up, you're having a higher, those ripples you talked about earlier, you're able to create the ripples you desire by using NLP. Right.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for your time. It's an honor to have you on this podcast. And मैं आपको ये बताता चलूँ कि हमारी अब तक की सबसे लॉन्ग ड्यूरेशन पॉडकास्ट है. इसकी वजह ये है कि टॉपिक बहुत बड़ा था और जिस तरह से आपने तमाम चीज़ों को डिस्क्राइब किया है, बताया है, आई एम श्योर हमारे जो व्यूअर्स हैं उनको भी बहुत अच्छे से चीज़ें समझ में आई होंगी. इंशाल्लाह ताला ये उनके लिए बहुत ज़्यादा बेनिफिशियल रहेगा ये पॉडकास्ट. थैंक यू सो मच.
माय एब्सोल्यूट प्लेजर. थैंक यू फॉर इनवाइटिंग मी.
थैंक यू. ऑलराइट ख़वातीन हज़रात, ये था हमारा आज का प्रोग्राम, आज का सेशन, आज का पॉडकास्ट. अपने मेज़बान मोहम्मद साद असलम को दीजिएगा इजाज़त. दिस इज़ मोहम्मद साद असलम साइनिंग ऑफ. अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.